Hi everyone, I am Elizabeth Vega. I am a student of 8th cycle in UNIFE. I study initial education and I have a partner in this job. Is
Hi, my name is Holyrose Sotomayor. I'm in 8th cycle at UNIFE, just as Ellie.
Today we present the project 2, is back to school, and have some questions. Are the schools ready to receive the students? It is too soon. What are the parents' thoughts about this? We continue with that. We have a short resume of what topics to talk about. Continue. First, we say introduction. In recent weeks, there has been a lot of talk about the return to face-to-face classes, and there are many questions about it. Today, we will try to answer some of these questions so that you can have a clear idea of what is happening today. Questions about return to schools. The students, the parents, the teachers have some questions about that. For example, when will the return classes be? What protocol should be followed to return to classes? Will return to classes to be obligatory? What schools have already returned to classes? And does the government have a specific plan for the returns? This is only 5 questions, but maybe other persons have more, and it's okay. This is about the government fears answers. Return to face-to-face classes is a topic that has been behind touched in more frequently in recent weeks, and specific when the vaccinations around the people between 20 and 22 years old has announced it and ends on September. In just a few days, the Minister of Education, Juan Cadillo, has already talking about return to classes almost immediately. When even no schools had spoken about it or had established a protocol for it. This caused great confusion in the pollution. For example, in my classroom at my university, all the girls had many questions about where we will go back to university this year or the next year or next month. We had a lot of questions, and one teacher had the opportunity in the class to solve the answer of that questions and have different questions about, for example, one of my partners have asthma and don't like the idea to return to classes immediately, and it's so crazy the idea, I think, in this moment. We have a pilot plan. The pilot plan starts in March in this year. The person who started this plan is the Minister of Education, Juan Cadillo. It's a progressive plan with certain private public schools in Lima and the province. In the month of September, it was announced that 10 more schools will join to the pilot plan, but those schools that participate in the plan must be 3 basic conditions: context, biosecurity, and social. For example, context, it refers to indices of COVID-19 cases in the district or vaccination level in the district. That is that total perceived in general. The biosecurity conditions are oriented to the capacity of the physical distance. For example, the distance to the students' folders. The social conditions are oriented to the social agreed with the education community, especially the parents. Juan Cadillo alleges that it will be flexible rather than about a voluntary restart. Educational flexible refers, for example, in the case to students working in groups for 8 people, for an hour, time to will increase. We want the children to adapt. It's a progressive plan and no is a plan for small parts, and later we hope to have the educations we have in the other years. Finally, the schools include in these plans, we have a key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 schools that are this plan are more, but I put only this that are more representative. For example, have Franco-Peruvian Hiram Brickman schools, the Marcan School, and Semilla Azul, that is kindergarten, and other is kindergarten is Jardín de la Amistad. And for example, IEE 42 Elizabeth Espejo de Marroquín is public schools, is the only public schools who work in this plan.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the results of this plan that my partner has mentioned. First of all, we have to say that the results of this plan were good, but not as much as we expected. For example, many people was judging this pilot plan because some thought that it's more affordable for some big schools, like my partner has mentioned before. Those schools have more space than public schools. That's why there's only one public school, in that pilot plan. Then we had that this plan included hybrid classrooms. For example, students were there in classroom, but there was real-time connection with the ones who stayed home. But the learning experience is not going to be the same as if all of them were in the same classroom. Another is that there was an alert because there were found some COVID-19 case alerts in some of these schools, and some parents were aware of sending their kids to school. They were thinking and thinking and thinking because they were afraid. Only the 8% of the students are studying right now in this pilot plan. The rest of students are waiting for the return, and most of the authorities think that Lima will be one of the last regions to start these classes. And the last weeks, universities are considering the return after the pilot plan in schools. But because of what I have mentioned before, the universities are thinking, and also the students from 20, from 25 are completely vaccinated. That will be an opportunity for them to start classes the next year. Next, please. Okay, but what do we need to return to face-to-face classes? There are some conditions or measures that we need to follow to achieve this. For example, only 86% of the school services are habilitated by the government, and the biosecurity protocols is the main measure that we need to follow. For example, the first is that the capacity of every classroom. The students need to be separated. The next one is that everyone needs to be with the personal security equipment. Everyone needs to be with their masks. They maybe will be with the facial protectors. Next, please. Another condition is that the schools will provide the students and teachers and the other workers water, alcohol, gel, and soap. And also, they also will take COVID-19 tests regularly in order to be aware of every new infection in their. Another condition is that every space of these schools need to have a great ventilation in order to prevent this COVID-19. And the last and one of the most important conditions is that we need parents' permission in order to the students can go to the schools. Next, please. Is there an approximate return date to going back to the schools? Yes, there is. Authorities have mentioned that it's probably to return to these classes on March 2022, which means that it will be the next year. But to achieve this, is important to put more effort. Mostly the government needs to put more effort to create the schools to guarantee these measures that I have mentioned before. Next, please. There are some comments about the return to schools and this is from parents and from students too. There are many discussions about this topic, sorry. For example, there are many parents that are tired of doing virtual classes with their sons. And there are also the parents that are worried about what is going to happen with their children when they are in school, because when they are too young, they tend to touch their face too much and they can add the COVID-19. And they are worried about they cannot follow the rules in the school. And they are also worried because they will be paying the same as right now, but the kids will be going less hours than they are studying right now in their houses. And that is unfair for them, because how I'm going to send my kid 2 days a week with the risk that he comes home and maybe my family get infected. So that is one of the thoughts that had worried the parents nowadays. Next, please. And what happens with the students? How are they feeling right now? Most of them feel excited to return their classes because they are children. They need to play, to socialize. They miss their teachers. They miss their friends. Most of them haven't put a foot on a school since they have born. They have born in pandemic and live in pandemic. If the schools don't do nothing to adapt to this new situation, the children will be losing a very important part of their development. Next, please. So, in conclusion of this topic, we, in our opinion, we think that children will be happier with a return to face-to-face classes, and obviously they won't forget this pandemic. Anyone will forget this. But it would be nice if we can make the rest of their life in school as a special experience, and also making sure that they will be safe going to school. And that's all. Thank you.
We have the reference, and this is all. Thank you.